Hey everyone, I just wanted to give a post-install review of a couple of things we did to my wife's Bronco. It is a 21 base Sasquatch, if that matters. We installed the Badlands ZXR 12,000 winch and the Havoc Offroad front winch bumper, and I had issues with both of these. First, we'll talk about the winch. It has a lot of good reviews. I know a lot of people swear by these things, but I had a couple issues with it. I'm sure it works fine, but my biggest issue is this mess back here. I do not like all these big exposed power wires, especially since it's rubbing up against that panel in the back right there. It's made of plastic, so it's not going to short out to it, but it's going to rub the paint off. It's going to rub the sheathing off the wire. I do not like that. I really wish they had made these either 90-degree terminals or posts, and I know they know how to use posts because they used them right here. Another problem I have with that is they included this little circuit breaker thing to put on the positive wire, and this is only for testing purposes. Do not install it like this permanently. I'm going to take it off, and I'm going to leave the wire disconnected for now and just only put it on the battery when we need it. Later, I'm going to buy a solenoid from an old Ford truck, 60s or 70s most likely, and you can mount that just about anywhere and then route that to a switch inside the cab. I think that's the best and safest way to do this. This thing is junk. Personally, even though this thing might be pretty good and last a long time, I know a lot of people love it, I would still spend the money and get the higher up version that hides the wires and just seems like it's better quality. Now onto the bumper. Overall, I'm pretty happy with the bumper. I only have a couple of small issues with it, but most of the issues I had were in the instructions, so I'll get to that in a minute. The bumper itself, if you can see in here, the winch plate doesn't quite fit. It's a little tiny bit too small where you can see the threads of the bolts. This side's a little closer. The problem is there's a little bit of strength lost since that isn't tight, because those bolts are like trying to stretch that winch plate out. I'm going to get some washers and put them in there so they can get a good bite and it can be nice and strong and not break off. Maybe it's not an issue, maybe it's just a pet peeve, but that's what I'm going to do. The second issue I have is, I don't know how common it is for winches to get stolen, but they do make security bolts specifically for that, which we will get. So you can get to the 4 bolts for the winch underneath the winch, and I can put security bolts in there, but then they can just take these 4 bolts out and take the whole plate, and it's basically the same thing. And none of those security bolts come in these thread sizes. So I'm gonna have to figure something out to at least make it more difficult. Haven't figured out what to do with that yet. If you found this video, I'm guessing there's a possibility you're trying to install this bumper and had all the same issues I had, and I looked on YouTube and couldn't find anything, so that's why I'm putting it on there. A lot of it has to do with that number 37. It's a special bolt. That little tab is welded to it. There's 2 of them. The problem is, step 5 says for you to use them. But that is not where you use them. That's just the winch plate. It looks to me like somebody accidentally copied and pasted part of step 13, where it also has 37, onto step 5. Step 13 is where you actually need them. So ignore that on step 5. Another problem with those same bolts is this picture shows from the back of the bumper and does not show where those bolts go or in what configuration. It just shows the nuts on the back. I believe I figured out where they go. I believe they go on the bottom inner, because that's the only place they actually fit. And I emailed Havoc and gave them all this information, so hopefully they change it, but that's the best I could figure out. Another issue I had with the instructions is step number 5 says to install the winch plate. If you install the winch plate early like that, that's one of the first steps, you will not be able to get that bolt in. you have to have the winch plate out to get those 2 bolts into the bumper. So the winch plate should be the last thing to go on. You can put it on after the bumper's installed. It does not matter. Just do it last instead of first. I hope this was able to help somebody not have the same problems I'm having. I did email Havoc to try to fix some of the instructions, and I'm going to send them a link to this video. Hopefully that'll help some people in the future.